All right, so today we're going to talk about the Permalites / Inception product, how we use it with Decor Smart. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is we're going to look at our different components. Okay, so we've got our Permalite Inception nuggets here. This is a 24-volt system. Okay, we've got our 24-volt power supply. This is actually it's a 200 watt. We've got our Illumi digital controller here that we'll use with our Decor Smart app. We've got a T-way, and then we've got a couple of adapters. So this is the adapter. You can see this is a 2-pin to 24-volt 3-pin. This is going to go between the transformer and the T-way. Okay, it's got notches for you to line up, so it's kind of it's pretty hard to mess it up, honestly. It's got the O-ring and the screw on for its UL rating to make sure it's watertight. Okay, so this right here, you can plug directly onto the female end of your T-way. Now, one of the things I want to point out is that in the Permalite system, okay, it's always going to be male back to the controller. Okay, we run into this a lot of times where you get guys that are trying to take the female into the lights and power it with that. You cannot power this female. It's got to be the male end is always back to the controller. Okay, so the power supply actually plugs into one of the females on the T-way. Okay, you can see a male end here and a female end here. Okay, plugs in like this. Same thing. It's got a O-ring and then it's got a little outer cover to tighten it up, keep it watertight. Okay, and you've got the lights. Now this is a Permalite native T-way. So you got a female end on the Permalite, you got a male end coming from the lights back to the controller. Okay, so you plug this up here just like this. Tighten it up, same way. And then last but not least is your controller. Okay, now the controllers come with natively with a 5-pin connection. Okay, there's 3 pins in there for digital systems and 2 pins in there that are for analog. Okay, we're only going to use 3 pins for this particular job because this is a digital, individually addressable lighting system. Okay, so we've got an adapter that can take you from the 5-pin down to 3-pin. It's the 5 to 3-pin 24-volt adapter. Don't get it confused with the 5 to 3-pin 12-volt adapter. They're not the same thing and they won't fit right. Okay, so we'll take the 5 pins that we have right here and we'll plug it directly into the 5 pins that are on our digital controller. Okay, then we'll take the 3-pin and plug it into the 3-pin female, plug it into the 3-pin male on our T-way. Okay, plugs in just like this. Super easy. Okay, and now you can see, okay, what we're doing here is we're powering the controller through and the lights through this T-way. You'll notice that there's an additional tail here on the end. There is a 20-volt power supply that comes with these lights that we'll show in a different video, but for all intent and purposes, what I recommend is to put, if you do not plan on using this controller for anything other than this Permalite application, my opinion is that you would just put some silicone in these little holes right here, and that'll give you your waterproof and you'll be good to go. Okay, so you can see the controller is actually going to be powered back through the 5-pin, the adapter that we have right here. It'll back power it, and then once it's back powered, it'll send a data signal back down the line. Okay, all right, so now that you've got this guy set up, everything's plugged in and ready to go, let's go ahead and let's get the iPad out here and let's go ahead and give power to this. Okay, when you plug this into power, now you should do all of this non-plugged into power. Okay, one of the rules with the Permalite system is that you do not, you don't hot plug this thing. Everything needs to be plugged in beforehand before you plug in your power supply. I want to also recommend that we use a spike cube with these power supplies. It's just a good habit to get into, and it will void your warranty if you do not. Okay, so you're going to plug this guy in just like this. Now you'll notice that everything goes to a white. White is a pure white color. It's firing RGB off at the same time, and it gives you a pure white look. You see the way it went all white, and then it went off, and then it went all white again. That indicates that you have the correct firmware and that this is in the pairing mode. It's ready to be paired with your application. If it does anything other than this, okay, then you have some kind of an issue. Okay, if the lights, for example, are all blue, and I'll just show you that right now. We'll unplug the controller here, just like this. unplug the power, lights will go off. So if you get this right here, bottom line is your controller is not getting power. Okay, there's no data being sent to these lights, and when these lights are given power, their default color is always going to go straight blue. Okay, and it's because I don't have any power from the controller. Now if I power my controller up, you can see it does all white. Okay, so once again, this is what it looks like when the lights are in pairing mode and are ready to be paired. All right, so now that that's set up, let's go ahead and let's get into our application. Super difficult passcode here. Okay, so let's open it up. All right, let's go out. This is our network screen, is our dashboard, and we've seen this in some of the other videos we've done. When I click on main here, okay, sometimes down here at the bottom it'll pop up and it'll ask you, up there it is right here, hey, we have detected unpaired lights near you, would you like to pair them now? Okay, when this comes up, everything's ready to go, you can hit the pair button. Okay, if for some reason this doesn't show up, okay, so let's back out. Okay, or you hit the wrong button and you get out of the screen. Okay, you get out of the pairing screen, you can always scroll over here to more, and you can search right here for search for mesh tech devices. And there it is, it'll take you to the pairing screen. Okay, so now we're in the pairing screen. We want to put this in a new group. You can see it right here. Now, if you'll notice up here at the top, this is blue and these lights are green. Now, the reason that this shows a blue color and the lights are green is, well, it's specifically because we haven't set the colors yet. Okay, so that's why this is blue and that's green. But like you'll notice on the MR16s and some of the other products, that you don't have that problem, that it is the correct color. But for the individually addressable products, you're going to have sometimes a different color until you tell it what color to be. So here you can see when I go to grab this and drag it down to the group, it flashes. You're going to want to hold it till it stops flashing, and you'll want to set it in the group. Okay, now it asks me to name it, and we're just going to type test here, test Permalite. Okay, and then we'll hit the next button right here. All right, so now here it says Smart Strip, RGB Nugget C9 bullets, and RGBW patio lights. So these cards are set up with what we call tri-firmware, okay? This card will run multiple products, okay? We have it set to where, you know, right now you can choose which product you're gonna run, and that's how you're gonna figure out which lights that it has. For example, this is an RGB product. The RGBW patio lights is going to be a different firmware. Okay, so these are the RGB nuggets. Okay, so that's going to be this middle one, RGB nugget C9 and bullets. If I select that, hit next, you'll notice that it changed the color from green to blue. Okay, now it's asking me, it wants me to set the number of segments. Okay, if you already know how many segments you have, you can just indicate, you know, whatever it is. If you don't know, you can follow along. So when I hit the plus button, you'll notice that all the lights went off, and the first two and the last two, okay, are blue here, okay, on the strand. What we're going to do is we're going to continue to hit the plus button until all of the lights are illuminated, and the first two and the last two are blue. So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going all the way through here. Okay, you can see the last ones are blue. If I continue to go, it'll make the last ones red. Now, we don't want it to be red. We want the first two and the last two to be blue, so that's how we're going to set it. One thing you want to keep in mind, because it counts in twos, if you have a 25 strand set of lights or an odd number, the last LED, it'll only have the last one will be blue instead of the last two. Obviously, if it's an even number, counting by twos, the last two will be blue. If it's an odd number, the last one will be blue. Okay, so just keep, bear that in mind when you guys are doing this. Okay, so we're gonna hit next. It's gonna ask me to confirm, and we'll hit confirm. And now you can see that it has, we've got control of this. Now, the first thing it's going to do, it's going to pop up with iLumi suggestions. Now, this is a really neat feature. It's not necessarily something you'll use a lot of with the Permalite system. Most of the time, your MR16s or your BR30s, your A19s, like we'll talk about that in other videos, you'll use this. But normally, for this particular section, you'll just skip this. All right. So now we're still in the pairing screen here. We're going to get out of the pairing screen. We're going to go back to our. Let's go back to the networks, okay? So we'll click on main, and now you can see this is our test Permalite. Okay, we'll click on Permalite. Okay, we'll go to colors, and we'll set a color. Green, blue, pink, whatever you want it to be. Now, one of the things that you should do here, depending on how you want to schedule this thing, is if you want it to automatically come on and turn to a certain color every time it's given power, you want to set a default color, okay? So let's set the default color as green, okay? Now, you don't have to use this screen to set the default color. If your customer has a particular color that they're interested in, okay, the color wheel is great to play with, but maybe you want to go down and you want to give it an actual light setting, So I can actually choose which color I want it to be. So let's say I want it to be red, and maybe I want it to be, kind of a purple. So I'm going to give it pure blue and pure red. That's going to give me kind of a purplish color. I like that color. I'm going to set it to my default. All right, and it's going to ask you, are you sure you want to set the current color as your power on default? And I'll hit set default, and now I'm done. So now, from now on, every time this thing is given power, it's going to come onto this color. So let's test it. If I turn everything off and turn everything back on, it's going to turn to this color. One more thing to keep in mind is that if I unplug this product, okay, so I've unplugged it from power now, okay, it's off. So if I had a timer on this thing or something like that, depending on how you guys want to wire this up, if I give it power again, it's going to automatically go to that default color, okay? As we move forward and we talk more about scheduling, there are some pluses and minuses to having a default color scheduled with the Permalite system using the different scheduling techniques, but these are things that we can cover in the next video. So, all right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a little bit.